Welcome to our 2024 annual members meeting, everyone. We're so glad to have you here tonight. My name is Michelle Boucher and I'm the Deputy Chief Executive Officer at First Super. Tonight, we will hear from our co-chair, Mike Ratter, and our CEO, Bill Watson, who will run through what the fund has achieved over the last 12 months, including investment returns and other significant operational matters. I would also like to acknowledge the First Super's board directors and executives who are in attendance tonight, as well as the fund's auditor. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands where we meet today, wherever you are joining us from. We also pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and the elders from other communities who may be present. I would also like to acknowledge all other cultures that we have here today. These meetings are essential forums, a place where we can provide you the opportunity to share your thoughts and ask questions. And finally, a warning to participants, the meeting is being recorded for legislative purposes, so the recording and minutes will be published on our website. Please note that all members attending the meeting tonight can ask questions, and this can be submitted throughout the event by using the Q&A button. You can submit your questions during the event and just simply click on them at the bottom of your screen. You'll see that down in the bottom bar there. And we will try and get to all the questions tonight. However, if we can't, we will certainly reach out to you directly in the next few days via the email address that you've provided so that we can answer your questions. And we do have quite a lot of people online tonight, so it's possible that we won't be able to answer all the questions, but we'll certainly do our best to do so. If you'd like to seek some personal financial advice or details about booking a meeting with one of our First Super financial advisors, they can be found via our website. So we're unable to answer member-specific questions tonight, but as I said, we'll always follow you up as we certainly want to commit to a great service. Now, I do need to provide you with a general advice warning that this presentation contains general advice which has only been prepared without taking into account your objectives, financial situation or needs. You should consider whether the advice is appropriate for you, and you would need to read the product disclosure statement before making any investment decisions. And to obtain a copy of the PDS or target market determination, please contact First Super on 1300 360 988 or visit our website. As a disclaimer, this presentation has been prepared by First Super and may not be used or produced without prior written notice of the trustee. The information in the presentation was accurate at the time of preparation in December 2024. So a bit about First Super. We currently have over 70,000 members who trust us to look after $4.67 billion of their super. Now, that number was at the 30th of June. In fact, today we ticked over the $5 billion mark. So we're very happy with how the fund is performing. There are multiple ways you can reach our dedicated member services team via phone or email. You can chat to us via live chat or speak to one of our coordinators or financial advisors. Our coordinators can come to you for personalised service face-to-face over the phone or internet. We're here when you need us, and that's really important. Member service is very important to our fund, and we'll talk a bit about that later. From the day you join First Super, to us, you're a member for life, and we help you grow your hard-earned super savings. We really want to work with you to plan your retirement path and journey through retirement together. And we aim to be with you every step of the way as your trusted super fund. You can access your First online account through our mobile app and keep track of your super or pension on the go. It's easy, safe and secure. I would now like to welcome Mike Ratter, the co-chair of First Super. Mike has extensive experience in the furniture industry, which is including holding several CEO positions, including Furnishing Industry Association of Australia, Interlink Commercial Furniture and UCI. And he is currently the CEO of Forestworks. Welcome, Mike. Over to you.
Thanks very much, Michelle. What I'd like to do tonight is to talk about the fund's performance over the last 12 months and other matters that your board of directors have addressed during the year. Just in terms of questions, we're happy to take questions, as Michelle said, of myself, fellow directors, the funds auditors here as well, and the funds executive at the end of the meeting. So a quick snapshot of how the funds performed in 2024. Our balanced option returned 8.87% to super members and 9.71% to retired members. This is a result better than many larger super funds. We delivered positive returns for all of our investment options, with all besides super cash exceeding their yearly and long-term targets. Over the past 10 years, the super balance has delivered a solid 7.56% return, and pension balance has returned 8.05%. Something we're really excited about, we were delighted to see that the fund membership growing by 40%, and that's from 50,000 to 70,000 members. Growth is really important. It helps the fund to be sustainable and creates further opportunities to reduce investment fees as we grow. 87.7% of all insurance claims were paid out. As Michelle mentioned, members and member services, it continues to be our focus. We have high level of member and employer satisfaction, which improved again this year. Both members and employers say we're easy to deal with. So 2023-24 was a year of considerable success for members and their fund. This builds on the growth we achieved in the previous 2 financial years. So member funds grew by 14.2%. We had a 189% increase in member benefit flows, and our net position was up 191 million. And as we mentioned before, at year end, we were 4.5 billion, and that's up 50% from financial year 2019-20. And as Michelle mentioned, I think it occurred this week, but I'm pleased to announce that the fund size now is $5 billion. So we've had a great year, but we're not resting on our laurels, and we're always looking for new ways to help our members. So we're pleased to announce that we're going to reduce both accumulation and pension fees in 2025, and that means more money in members' accounts for retirement. So that means lower fees, but the same great personal service. In terms of an update on the first super board, we had one term concluded in September 23 with our independent director, Tim Chatfield. And then he was replaced by Tri Nguyen, an accomplished corporate lawyer who's highly experienced in mergers and acquisitions, corporate restructuring and governance. And he was appointed to the board in December 2023. We also had Mick Stevens appointed as an associate director in September 23, and that's part of the board's ongoing succession planning. I'd now like to introduce Bill Watson, CEO of First Super. Bill was appointed to CEO of First Super in March 2013, bringing to the fund a wealth of knowledge in the financial services industry and the superannuation industry, public transportation, global consultancy, public policy, and government relations. Over to you, Bill.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks, members, for joining us on Tuesday, the 3rd of December. I wanted to cover off a couple of topics in my report to you, our members. Introduce our team, talk about service quality, and that's been really topical in the last couple of weeks for all of the wrong reasons. Investment returns, fund activities, and our priorities in 2025. In terms of the First Super executive team, we've had stability in the executive team. Hayley Pope has joined us, nearly 15 months ago, I think now. Michelle's been with us for nearly 3 years, and then myself, Andrew and Laurie have all ticked over a decade with the fund. We have been really pleased with the new ideas and the intellectual engagement that both Michelle and Hayley have brought to the fund. That's been pretty useful over the last couple of years when we've been going through a period of growth and substantial engagement with the regulators. So it's good to have a top quality team who I know are doing a great job looking after you, our members. In terms of investment returns, Mike's talked to those. But the key point about that is we've continued to deliver what I consider to be solid investment returns, and investment returns where we have on the long term exceeded the CPI plus X% for each of the 4 mixed investment options and cash, which is against the Bloomberg index. And that makes a real difference in terms of compounding and growing your retirement savings. It's a matter of pleasure, and Mike's referred to this, that last financial year, notwithstanding the fact that we're not a terribly huge fund, we managed to outperform a number of substantially larger, more well-resourced funds and funds with overseas offices and all of those things. It really demonstrates that you can put money in members' accounts by running a modestly resourced trustee office that's focused on one thing and one thing only, and that's growing and maintaining retirement savings. So that's a great matter of pride and pleasure for both the board and the executive management team and everybody that's been involved in delivering those strong returns. In terms of keeping in touch with members, we've really spent a lot of effort and resources, particularly under Michelle's leadership, of growing out our marketing and communications team and venturing into the new world of digital technology. We've kept in touch with you, our members, with website updates, and we hope that there's information that you found useful and valuable in finding out what the fund is up to, but more importantly, providing you with some general advice and some things to think about in terms of accumulating retirement savings and then enjoying them in retirement. Member statements, and you would have seen those come out in the last period of time, but we've also got the online environment where you can check your accounts on a daily basis. First Talk online videos, where we've got led by Andrew Jewell, our head of financial advice, where we've got topics of information that are relevant to you, our members, and that's derived from the questions that members who seek advice from Andrew, Daniela, Jason and Richard. We run retirement webinars, and that's been one of the features in moving from face-to-face in COVID to running webinars online, and they've been successful, and it does help in terms of reaching more members, particularly those for members in places like Melbourne and Sydney where you've got to battle through the traffic to attend those things, and then they're available on replay. Last year we introduced our app, and that has been a significant method of engaging with you, our members. On a daily basis, we have around 1,000 members engage with the fund on the app. That's a thing of constant amazement to me because I don't actually believe that there are that many, but I'm assured by Michelle and her team and Hayley, our executive manager governance, that that's the number of members. So it's great to see that you're checking your accounts and great to see that you're checking for contributions. In terms of activities of the fund last year, nearly over 28,000 employers contributed. Members received over $267 million in SG superannuation guarantee contributions. So that's a pretty big chunk of money that's making a big difference for members to save for retirement. In addition to that, we had an extra $259 million in salary sacrifice, voluntary contributions and roll-in contributions. A significant proportion of those roll-in contributions was members who have joined us so they could consolidate their KiwiSaver money into First Super. And that's been something that's been of enormous success. And we're really pleased to have you, our New Zealand comrades, rolling your money in. And I know a number of members have been using that to access the First Home Saver Scheme. So that's terrific. There has been some friction in the way that we receive KiwiSaver monies, and Hayley Pope and her team have been working very hard with the New Zealand KiwiSaver funds to cut those frictions out so you can get your hands on the money money quicker. We paid nearly $70 million to members in retirement benefits, and that's a really good thing. That's our job, to help people save, but more importantly, pay people retirement benefits so that you can spend it on yourselves and hopefully enjoy your retirement. In total, $260 million was paid to members, and that's a combination of money rolling out to other funds, retirement benefits, death benefits to deceased members' families, and total and permanent disablement benefits. So in terms of paying retirement benefits, we really like doing that because that says members have actually got to retire, which is a great thing. In terms of other activities, members made over 46,000 calls to member services. That's our contact centre, which is based in Carlton, Melbourne, Victoria. Once you've had to listen to the recorded call about you're only getting general advice, bloody, and the regulators make us tell you that, members are only waiting 49 seconds on average to speak to a team member. And that's in contrast to what's happening at a lot of funds. We've copped a fair bit of criticism in the past for having a well-resourced, well-staffed contact centre. That's been a deliberate decision that the fund board has made to ensure that when you ring us up and when you need a hand, there's somebody on the end of the phone to answer your question. We're doing a great job through our contact centre, but I know we can do a better job and we'll continue to do that. But that's one of the things that we think differentiates us from other funds. All the funds say they care about members, but we're actually delivering a really good quality service where you can speak to somebody after not too long. Our contact centre staff made nearly 18,000 outbound calls to members, responding to 28,000 emails and a good old-fashioned 8,500 letters. So that's a good thing. In terms of our financial planning team, led by Andrew Jewell, he's got 3 other colleagues with him. They conducted 200 retirement health checks. That's all of it. The question, do I have enough money to retire, or what can I expect? And provided statements, 167 statements of advice. If I can put a plug in for Andrew and his team, who are very busy at the moment, they won't like me saying this. First appointment's free. If it's intra-fund advice, that's about our investment options and insurance. That comes at no direct cost to you. And if it's personal advice, then there is a charge, but it is quite modest relative to what you would pay other planners. So it's worthwhile picking up the phone and having a talk to them. The rubber hits the road for the advice. Andrew and his team help members save almost over $1 million in potential tax. So that's your salary sacrifice, for example. You're not paying tax on a marginal rate of tax on that. It's only 15 cents in the dollar. More importantly for members as they're getting close to retirement, they help members generate an additional $361,000 of income by maximising their age pension entitlements. And we know dealing with the government is complex. Sometimes you might think they make it complex so you can't get your hands on the pension. So Andrew and his team did a lot of work there. And then finally, it's a bit around the margin perhaps, but there's government co-contributions. So if you're not earning a ton of money, it's a good way of picking Jim Chalmers, the Treasurer's pocket. So members benefited to that for $12,273. So looking forward to 2025, our primary focus is always acting the best financial interest of you, our members, helping you achieve a dignified retirement and then sustaining it through your retirement. And that's really important to us. That's our job. Our job is to get your money, invest it, give you more back so you can have a decent retirement. The other thing that we are continuing to focus on, and we'll redouble our efforts, is the high quality personal service when you need it. We've got a team of member and employer services coordinators who are out in the field, as we quaintly describe it, but their job is to look after you, our members, either at your workplace or, if necessary, come and visit you at homes and other locations. Super is really complex, and having people who understand, people who work in our industries and can provide assistance to help you navigate through that So the coordinators are there and they're available. The other thing, as I've mentioned, is we've got a contact centre team, and their job is to provide you with the best possible assistance navigating your way through it. What we don't want to do at First Super is be like some of the other funds that you would have heard about in the media in the last couple of weeks and months, where members and their families have had the devil's own job trying to get benefits paid out and provide reasonable assistance, and in some cases just get somebody to answer the phone. So that's our service promise. We will deliver service to you to ensure that when you need a hand, we're there to provide it. And we'll be held accountable for that by reporting to you, commencing in 2025, on service deliveries, so that the cold light of day can look at whether the promises that we've made are being delivered. So it's really been a pleasure in the last 12 months to have seen the fund grow. And that's really good because, as Mike says, it's all about sustainability. But the other part about the growing bit in the last 12 months is we put a lot more money into member accounts, and that's our job. We're not growing the fund for the sake of growing it. We're growing it so that you can have a decent retirement. So that's been really good. And I've got to say, it's great that we get to work with a good team of people delivering services to our members, and great to be supporting the industries in which we derive our membership. So it's an honour to look after your retirement savings. So thank you, members, and thank your families. Mike, back to you.
Thanks, Bill. So we have received 5 questions that were pre-submitted beforehand. Again, as we mentioned at the start, if you want to send some questions through in the chat, please do so. What I'll do is I'll go through these questions. I might pick the first one to you, Bill. Then the question is, how stable is the fund?
How stable is the fund? Just bear with me for a moment, Mike. Thanks for that, Mike. So we've had a really strong 2023-24 with net inflows and solid investment returns and a substantial increase in the number of members. So that growth that we've enjoyed, we think contributes to a stable and sustainable fund and allows us to continue to deliver services to members. So in our opinion, the fund is in a strong position at the moment and is certainly stable.
Right. Thanks, Bill. The next question I'll throw to Hayley Pope, our Executive Manager of Governance. And the question is, why are aggregate political donations displayed as nil? And what is the amount? Hayley?
So the reason that the political donations is at nil is that we don't pay any political donations.
Okay, thanks, Hayley. The next question I'll throw to Bill Watson. And the question is, how may current proceedings against the CFMEU and of Michael O'Connor affect First Super and its members?
Okay, thank you, Mike. So the first thing to note is that the appointment of the administrator and the proceedings surrounding that and the legislation are against the construction division of the CFMEU. First Super is associated with the manufacturing division, which has not had an administrator appointed. APRA has initiated civil proceedings against Michael O'Connor, and they're continuing, and we won't make any further comment about that. I do note that APRA has not initiated proceedings against First Super, any other director or First Super officers. So it's business as usual for the fund. And as you would see from the returns that we've delivered, the growth that we've enjoyed, business as usual is delivering results.
Thanks very much, Bill. I'm going to throw a question to Michelle Boucher. The question is, what about interest rates and why an admin fee? Michelle.
So we do charge an admin fee to pay the cost of administering members' accounts and providing service, essentially. And like many funds, the admin fee is comprised of a fixed dollar amount and a percentage amount of your account balance. And as you've heard earlier, We're pleased to say that we will be reducing those admin fees in 2025, given the successful couple of years that we've had in terms of increasing members in the fund. But those charges that we've described there are very common.
Thanks very much, Michelle. And I'll throw the next pre-submitted question to you, Bill, which is, when is First Super introducing a new age option or new age option steps, like moving funds from risky funds to low risk funds according to age?
Okay. So thank you, the member who submitted this question. So what I can say is that in the past, First Super's board and investment committee has evaluated the pros and cons of age option steps. And that's for everybody's information is younger members have put her in investment options which have got a much higher exposure to growth assets, so typically 90-10. And as you age and get to my senior years, you end up in an environment where it's 50% growth and 50% defensive. The rationale behind that is the older you get, the less time that you've got to recover any lost capital if the market falls and you have negative returns. So the factors that were taken into account in evaluating whether to do that was the complexity and cost, because it is complex, and with complexity comes cost, and there also comes the opportunities for errors, not moving people at the right time or moving people earlier. So the decision was not to introduce the age option steps on an automatic basis. But what I do note is that with our 5 investment options, which range from high growth, balanced, and conservative balance in cash, members can take on more risk or de-risk as they wish to do so. And they can do it in a way that it's done according to their personal circumstances and also their individual risk appetite. That is, whether when the markets aren't performing particularly well, it causes stress and anxiety, or in some cases, some people think that that's not such a bad thing. I've talked about our financial planning team, Andrew and his colleagues, and that's their job, is to provide advice to members on the most appropriate option to them, having regard to members' personal circumstances and their age. And for us, that's a much better outcome than having a one-size-fits-all approach, because not everybody at every stage in life is going to have the same risk appetite. So, you know, I really am calling on members, and particularly the member who has asked this really great question, pick up the phone. We can make an appointment to see Andrew and his colleagues, and they can give you the best possible age step progression through your super journey, taking into account your own risk appetite, whether you want to pull the doona up to the nose or not, and what other assets that you've got.
Thanks very much, Bill. And it's probably there. We've got a couple of questions that have come through in the chat, and I might take the second one first and address that to Andrew Jewell, who's our Executive Manager of Financial Advice and Education. And as Bill said, he's there to provide that direct financial advice. And the question is, Andrew, am I allowed to withdraw my super? Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you, Mark, and thanks for the question. There's certain rules around about accessing your super, and the first one is what they refer to as the preservation age. So the member must be of the age 60, and they may be able to access their super whether they're working or not, and the other key age is 65. There are circumstances where the member can access their super prior to the age 60, and that's underneath financial hardship and compassionate grounds, and there's certain requirements that must be met. What we will do is reach out to that particular member and explore a little bit more of their question and see how we can assist them.
Great. Thanks, Andrew. And then we've got one question in the chat still, and I'm going to address this one to you, Bill. Will you ever get to a stage where we can change our investment options online instead of paper? You're on mute, Bill.
Thanks, Mike. I get the
There you go.
prize. Yes, there is a possibility of being able to do that. Considerations that we've had in the past about member switching is whether it creates the risk of members switching too frequently, and particularly in times of turbulence in the market, which creates the potential for members to sell out as the market is at its bottom, move to something more conservative, and then not get on the way up. So we've got to balance up the view about super being a long-term investment against individual member concerns. So it's something that we've looked at, I think, on about every 18 months, and that will be revisited next year.
Thanks very much, Bill. There's no more questions. So on behalf of the fund, if I can thank everybody for being a member and joining the call. Oh, there's not, sorry. If we can just pause that, another question just came through.
Excellent.
And the question is, which I will throw to you, Bill,
Yeah.
where can I find information on the different investment options?
Quite easily on our investment section on our website, and there's an investment section there that provides you with details of all of the investment options. So how they're constructed, how much growth, how much defensive, and the individual asset class. It also provides what the return target is, but that return's not guaranteed, what the likelihood of negative returns are. So it's on the website, and the information's there, and there's also material that you can download, which is a copy of our product disclosure statement for the default option, the balanced option. It's got the information, and then the more about super investing option, which investment book, which takes you through all of the other investment options. So you can find information there. There's a bit of discussion about that and some information sheets as well. And then once you've ploughed through all of that, you can give our contact centre staff a call if you wanted to discuss it further. And I know I sound like a broken record, but Andrew and his team are there to provide you with personal advice if you've got questions specific to yourself. But we've got other people who can provide general advice with the general explanation about how the investment options operate. And then finally, on the investment returns page, we've got the history of all of the investment options, the returns over 1, 2, I think it's 5, 10, and the lifetime of the investment options. Now, past performance isn't an indicator of future performance, but it does give you a bit of an idea of how we've gone in the past. So we're more than happy to answer any questions on individual investment options. And if you don't get out very much, we also publish information which is called Portfolios Holding Disclosure, and information on the managers that manage various parts of it. So if you wanted to drill all the way down, there's plenty of information there. If you can't find us, give us a call and somebody can steer you in the right direction.
Thanks very much, Bill. There's no more questions coming through on the chat. So, Bill, I'm going to pass to you to close the meeting. Thanks.
Okay, thanks very much, members, for putting your faith, trust and retirement savings in our hands. I'd like to thank the board for their firm and wise governance of the way that they've run the fund. And more importantly, so thank some of our service providers, the staff in SBA, our administrator, Frontier Advisors, our insurer MetLife, who all make a bit of a difference to members, and the support that we get from the industry and shareholders, the manufacturing division, Timber Trade Industrial Association of New South Wales, the Australian Cabinet Furniture Association, the Australian Furniture Association, and the Australian Forest Products Association. And I'd also like to just finally end by thanking long-term stalwarts who posted something on the question saying, thanks for the update. Emma, it's always a pleasure to have you as a member, and I'd love to see you guide dogs again at some stage. So thanks very much.
Thanks, everybody.